Hello, 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 you guys. Did you hear it? I was like, hello, you guys. No, I'm playing. It's Dr. Torie here, you guys, here with another episode of Be Victorious. Now, listen here. This young lady here has been she holds a special place in my heart. Now, let's be clear, she's been supportive of me before all of this. And when I tell you she did not know my story, the fact that she follows me and shares my story is very humbling. She's an author, she's out here in her community, she's doing wonderful things in Kansas City, Missouri. I would love to introduce to you all Marquita Jacks. Marquita, where are you?
Hey.
Just as beautiful as she wants to be. Oh my God. How
I
are you?
am well, babe. I am well. I will not complain. We have this freezing weather here, but I'm warm. I'm in the house,
Yes,
so I'm
yes.
good. I'm good.
So I actually have to share. You guys, this is my big sister. So I'm going to be
Yay.
totally honest with you guys. The shout out has to be through Zeta Lambda of Central Missouri State University, because let's be clear, this is actually my first Delta on my podcast.
Oh
Surprise,
my
surprise.
goodness.
Yeah. And the fact that she comes from my chapter, the fact that this is really my big sister for real. So shout out to Big Sister Mommy Dearest. Thank you so much for being here. The humbling thing is, you guys, she's an author. This is the reason why I engage in this. We have an organization that actually really believes in physical, mental, and emotional health. And
Mhm.
as an author, you've done that. Do you understand how important that is, you guys, to actually live your experience and share it with other people? This young lady has done that. Now, a couple of months ago, I was extremely excited because she delved in and shared with everybody this wonderful book that
Mhm.
she has written. But before we go into the book, I want people to understand and know she very well knows everything about ACEs.
Mhm.
So if I can ask you a question, did you take the ACEs quiz?
I did.
Okay. And what's your ACEs score?
My ACEs score is 12.
12. And you know
Mm.
what? I'm gonna say you're in the perfect 10 club, because the thing is with that ACEs quiz is so many questions within a
Mhm.
question. So that's
Mhm.
realistic. I believe it.
Okay.
And the thing is, we cannot let that number define us. Okay.
Absolutely.
What it
Absolutely.
is it brings a light to exactly the things that we have been experiencing and the things that have happened. And we're here to be the cycle breakers that we are and do that. And you've done that. You've wrote a book. Please let the listeners know about not just you, but this book that you have actually written.
Mhm. Okay, so the book is called Perfectly Flawed: The Ministry Hiding in the Mess. And actually, it kind of falls right in line with what ACEs is. It is really started as a journal, and that birthed into a book, that birthed into a ministry now. Um, but it is, the acronym for flawed is forgiven, loved, accepted, worthy, and exquisitely designed. And it comes from a life of just kind of, just the basis of what ACEs is, just the trauma, childhood issues, and not really knowing my identity, being confident in my identity, having struggles with self-esteem, having been bullied and taunted, and all of that, and just really, really, really living in the mistakes that I made as a result of trying to find out who I was. That journey,
Mhm,
basically, I always tell people it is the journey. Perfectly Flawed is the journey to wholeness through brokenness.
mhm,
So it kind of fits right into the principle of ACEs,
mhm,
and where ACEs is becoming a language, my prayer and my goal is for Perfectly Flawed to become a language. So, and I know it's an oxymoron, but the it was given to me by God to have the play on words, because when we think of our flaws, we immediately go to what we remember about ourselves that we don't like, or those voices within and without that told us who we were and defined us. And so we lived in that for so long. And just coming to the place where you understand that you don't have to live in that.
Right.
You can know where it was, but you don't have to stay there. And you use that to help other people, and you use that to heal. And so that is what Perfectly Flawed is.
And that is what you have done. So the wonderful thing is this has been you. This has been
Hmm.
you all of your life.
Hmm.
But what made you dive into the book? Why the book?
Really, it was really more of a calling. Let me
Mhm.
say that. Like I said, it started. I was a DJ at a gospel radio station, and I had a Bible study moment. And so, some of the things that people were asking me, some of the things that I was sharing, I would hear more and more of people's angst and things, and started um, really just saying, just using my own experiences, and not really knowing why until then. I had
Mhm.
to go through what I had to go through so that I could help folks get through.
Right.
But that is the reason that the book is written. The reason that the book is written, one, is because God says so.
Okay.
Uh, and two is because I've got spiritual mentors and things that are reading my journal and read it, and she said it's got to be a book, and it was like confirmation that um, all of the years of therapy, all of the years of what I've been through and trying to help other people, this is it. This is really my story.
Right.
Perfectly Flawed is really my story, and it is an attempt to first of all let other folks know that they are a broken crayon that still colors. You can
Mm-hmm.
still color,
Mm-hmm.
and to let them know that they can live outside of how they grew up and their
Right.
history and all of that. So, but that is my
So
why. My why is to help
tell us
other people.
about it though. Tell us about that history. What happened?
Well, I'll say this, and it's really strange, Tori, because there's sexual abuse.
Hmm.
My mom
And
was
sexual and
in an
abuse
abuse.
is an
Yes,
ace.
yes, yes. My mom was in an abusive relationship.
Okay.
My We were pretty close coming up, and most of her siblings were addicted to drugs and alcohol and things like that. And so a lot of my cousins, you know how we do with our cousins,
Hmm.
they become
Hmm.
sisters and brothers.
Right.
And so I saw a lot of that mental illness, a lot of
Hmm.
mental illness. And like I said, bullying and taunting, and really, honestly and truly, the way that God has me wired to be able to minister like I need to, I can't necessarily remember exacts and scenes, so I'm
Right.
not waking up with night terrors,
Good.
but I know that things happen, and He has helped me to get through those things. But yeah, a lot of dysfunction, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, in our family, what goes on in the house stays in the house. Our secrets are
Mm.
killing us,
Yes.
in the black family particularly.
Yes.
And getting therapy was taboo. That didn't start to be a language until the last few years, where everybody's saying, I need therapy to address this history."
Hmm.
Uh, and actually, that is part of the reason I even went to college in the first place, was because I
Mm.
needed to know why. Why did I go through all of this? Why did I see all of this? And then how can I help my family with the history of addiction and abuse? And it was a cycle, sitting down talking to my aunts and my mom even. It was a cycle. It was
Yeah.
a cycle of abuse there, and in history, so that I had to learn how to forgive my history. I had to
Hmm.
learn how to forgive my mom's history,
Right.
and I had to learn how to forgive my grandmother's history, whatever it needed to go back so that I could function today.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of dysfunction that we didn't know was dysfunction. We just
Right.
thought it was
Because
normal.
in our family, in the
Mhm.
Black community, it's normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing when I'm out talking to people,
Mhm.
letting them know it's not. And
Right.
and it's like, who you think you are? I went to school to do the same. We're what we call cycle breakers.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
And it's the same,
mhm,
carrying that torch of being a first generation high school graduate.
mhm,
It's a brag moment, but
mhm.
not really because
Right.
something happened.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Yes,
gotta
I
think
do. I
about
know
it.
exactly what you mean.
You
Mhm,
gotta think about it. This is us.
mhm.
So we're having this conversation for real, you guys.
Yeah.
This is us knowing each other for
Mhm,
real. Having
mhm,
this conversation, not just being from Kansas City, not just by being Black, not
mhm,
just by being women. We hear you guys. We
mhm.
understand and we get it, but we have stepped out on faith, and here we are. We are going to
Yeah.
have this conversation because we don't.
Mhm. That was another reason.
Mhm,
I want Perfectly Flawed to provide an avenue and a
mhm,
safe place to land where
mhm,
you can unpack. I love conferences and workshops and things like that, but being a therapist,
mhm,
my issue with it is that we go and we open up a whole lot of wounds and we put a band-aid on it. And
mhm.
so folks leave without getting they can't talk to anybody else after they leave the conference.
Right.
My goal is for people to be able to talk,
Mhm,
and live beyond the shadows of the secrets and live
mhm.
beyond the shadows of the abuse and the dysfunction and the mental and emotional illness. So I wanted people to be able to have a platform, you
And
know.
you've done that. I've been trying to track you down. You already know that because as soon as I saw it, I said, OMG. And from we've always been connected. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
one of those big sisters. It is what it is. You have been that mentor. You have been that person. But when the words that we are saying start connecting, I said,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, this is it." So to my humble surprise, when I seen I started seeing the likes and I started seeing the shares. I'm like, okay, big sis. But this is something that you normally do. You guys have to understand the support has always been there. Let's be clear.
Mhm. Mhm.
However, when we're talking about breaking generational trauma, and when we talk about being cycle breakers, this is what we have to do. We have to step up ourselves and
Mhm.
step up to the plate and say, all right, this isn't okay, but this is what we need to do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
this is what you've done in your book. I
Mhm.
cheated. I told you I was gonna wait until I got my signature
Fine copy.
selfishly. I know, but I cheated. I got it. It is an amazing book because at the end of the day, you do understand aces. I'm so humbled by
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But I'm going to ask you a question. When did it link for you though? Like, this is it. This is what you need to do. When did it link for you?
Um, I would say I work for a not-for-profit, and we have a women's transitional home, and most of who we deal with is women. Perfectly Flawed has to be written from my experience and my experiences as a woman.
Mhm,
Um, it linked and it hit because it would the I've always had a burden for broken people.
mm,
Once you've been through it, first of
mhm,
all, you can identify it a mile away.
mhm.
And also, because you've been through it, you really have a sense of empathy
Right.
for folks that are going through it. And so, I've always been attracted to people that were broken. At first, I thought something was wrong with me, but then I started realizing I've been lonely, I've been rejected, I've felt abused and abandoned, and like I didn't matter and unacceptable. And I can't have other people feel that way.
Right.
I can't have other people feel that way. So it kind of started, well, I'll say it grew from there. The founder of where I work at, and it's called Dave's Place. The founder gave me an opportunity to be creative and to go ahead and put this thing down. Actually, when I started working there, it was COVID, and she was like, "Just dream big, do what you need to do." She's 100% supportive of it, and I'm blessed with some mentors that pull it out of me and let me know that I'm okay,
Mhm.
and it is okay to share. And perhaps some folks might not get it, but that's okay. They will when it's time.
Right.
Because even them, they've come through different. Everybody that I have met, I've not met one person, Tori,
Mhm.
even anybody that thinks that they've had a perfect life.
Right.
I've not met one person that cannot identify with aces or perfectly flawed. I've not met one person, you know, they may not be struggling with forgiveness, but they go all the way down the line and feel like, you know, I've never felt confident in who I was. Or they may not be struggling with alcoholism, but somebody, they watched their mother be abused, you know,
Ugh,
and or she cussed them out and stuff like that. So there's not a person that cannot identify. And right now, with it being a language, it's a perfect opportunity for us to be able to reach those folks and let them
right,
know you're okay and you're not alone. I think that
right,
was the overwhelming thing that I felt, or that I feel from people, is I did a conference not long ago, and everybody that came to my table, the first thing that they said was that they felt like they were not alone anymore.
right.
You know, you could see that, you know, and that blew my mind really, and it was so humbling because, like I said, um, not only do I'm here at this place, but it wasn't before I made a whole bunch of bad choices, Tori. A whole bunch of bad
Right.
choices, a whole bunch of mistakes, some by default, and some because I chose to, and just didn't know the proper, you know, that's like they're looking for love in all the wrong places, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
But see,
Close to
that's
guilt.
the reason why I said, tell it, tell your
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
Because to me, and I'm just going to be honest with you, this is big sister mommy dearest. Why wouldn't you?
Mhm.
92
Yeah,
brought our chapter back on the yard. So
yeah.
you're one of those ones, and you know, not to say you don't know it, you
Mhm,
know it. You're in Kansas City, Missouri alumni, not to put you
mhm,
out there like this, but you are the Marquita Jack.
mhm.
And
Yes.
so when people look at people like us, they don't see the levels that have taken us here.
Mhm,
So that's why
mhm,
I said, big sister, tell your story. Talk about your mom. Talk about your dad. Your story is who encompasses
mhm,
you. It
mhm,
makes you who you are. And
mhm.
people don't know that because all they say is big sister mommy dearest with her beautiful self and her now, and the fact that she graduated, and the fact that she has left her legacy and mark in Kansas City, but they don't know how you
Mhm,
got there.
mhm.
So we're
Amen.
going to do this again.
Very
Tell
good, very
us
good.
your, because again, the problem is people don't want to do that. They don't.
Mhm, mhm,
Like, I can't tell my mom and dad's story, but I can tell my story. So I'm going
mhm.
to give you an example, and I don't talk this much. I promise you I don't. I just found out that my name is spelled Etoyatre. I don't know who that is.
Oh my
Holy
goodness.
Toya tree. So I found that out because I got my birth certificate. I needed my birth certificate because, I moved here, blah, 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 blah. And so I
Mhm,
go to both of my parents and I'm like, the first thing I do is I need my birth certificate, Daddy. Can you go to the Kansas City and go and get it? He calls me, what's your birth date? Daddy, you don't know my birth date? Okay. The long story short is they couldn't find me in the system. So I called my mom and I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, when you was younger, they spelled your name wrong. I'm thinking they changed it by now. They didn't.
right.
And so I can't get an ID. I can't do anything. I can't because in the state of Texas, Etoya Tree, McDonald, and Etoya Reed Williams are two different people.
Mm,
And so I asked my mom, I'm like, well, why you just didn't take care of that? It's going to take me weeks to get this taken care of. I'm 46 years old. Mama, what's
mhm,
up? She's like, well,
mhm,
you got other stuff. And it's like, trigger, boom, 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 boom. I went immediately back into how I was when I was
mhm,
13, 14, 15, when I was asking questions, when I was
mhm,
doing things. You know what I mean? It immediately went back. And I had
mhm,
to put up my boundaries for my parents because it's like, I love y'all to death. I can't tell y'all story, but your story has such an effect on me.
mhm, mhm.
People don't see that.
Right, right.
They see me. They see Torie.
Mhm,
Do you know how much pain that is for me?
mhm, mhm. I do.
I know Big Sister Marquita. I know
Mhm.
your name was one when I first met you, and your name has
Mhm.
changed and it's something different now.
Mhm.
Tell your story.
I'll have to say, let me say first of all, the inspiration that you are to me, young lady.
I know.
Really, I am so serious, and we our sorority is huge, but I only have a few that I know,
I know.
and that are right here, and
Mhm,
so when you started sharing aces and I bought it immediately. First of all, because just like you said, I didn't know that. I
mhm.
saw Tori, my happy baby,
I
you
know.
know, that loves her big sister and hugged her
Uh-huh.
out whenever
I
she
know.
saw her. But to
Yes.
understand aces and to understand that you have a story of your own,
Yep.
those kind of things are what inspire me is watching you grow and blossom. So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, it's tit for tat here, babe. It is tit
Yeah.
for tat. I
Yeah.
am. I was born Marquita Golf, and Marquita Goff was born with under a single mom.
Mhm,
She did the best she could,
mhm,
and ended up where I probably was more older than I was younger immediately
mhm.
because my mom was a single mom.
Right.
And like I said, I had aunties and uncles that were in their addiction. And so
Mhm.
mom always, she was that mama. She was that mom. She wasn't the oldest of her siblings, but she was the most responsible, I would say, you know. And so I don't think I've got a cousin that has not lived with us, you
Right.
know. So that being said, me being a kid, I have to shoot into adulthood early because
Right.
mama's got to work. So somebody has to take care of the kids. I am the oldest grandchild, period. And there's not
Mhm.
another girl after me for about 11 years or something like that. So I'm mama, big cousin, big sister, kind of, all of my life. So
Right.
being a big sister to y'all came easy.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so I had to be mom. I had to be big sister and all of that early and take on a lot of responsibility, which is normal in my
It
life.
is. But
It
see
was
how
normal.
that makes sense
Yeah.
because you've always been to us, big
Hmm.
sister, mommy dearest. And here
Hmm.
you just gave us a great example. Why?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Good. Good.
Didn't grow up with my dad.
Okay.
I knew it is something and I'm going to make a pitch here for fathers, the importance that they have in our lives, because I think the society is dummying down the role of the male.
Ooh.
And when you lose that foundation, the way that God intended for it to be, then all of society is messed up.
Mhm.
So I'm making a pitch for fathers. If you are just to stay the course, stay in there, fight for your babies, fight for your position in their lives. Because what I have to say about my mom never said anything bad about my father ever.
Right.
She never. I found out on my own uh, how he was by experience
Mhm.
by experience. And that was then. We've since reconciled, and I've met my siblings, and I
Okay.
love him to pieces. But I have to say, growing up without him, and just the abandonment, all of
Mhm.
those things that come from not having a father. You don't have anybody to tell you you're beautiful. Mama could say that. I look
Right.
like you.
Right.
And my mama said, you look like me, you ain't ugly. So that was it. But I didn't have the father to dance with, pick me up, put me on his lap. And even that, I had to fantasize who he might be, you
Right.
know. And the few times that he did come around initially, he proved to be not the greatest dude, and wasn't he was truth challenged. That's what I like to say. People are they truth
Papa
challenged.
was a Rolling Stone.
You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, I got brothers older than me and sisters younger than me.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so he wasn't there, and so that was one piece that was already missing. Uh, and with the cycle of abuse, which I know unless it's acknowledged, it doesn't stop.
Right.
People do what they know how to do. So my mom did what she knew how to do. And it's like in a lot of Black families where the women are concerned, where they're single moms, they love the boys and they raise the girls,
Mhm.
you know. And that was what was done with her. She had to assume the position of mom and a big responsibility to her siblings because my grandmother was way out there. Now, my
Right.
daddy was a Rolling Stone, but my grandmother wasn't a punk. She was out there, and her mothering lacked luster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that my mom was a better mom than her mom, but she could only go from what she had.
Right.
Now today, she and later years she's excellent, you know, but trying to build that, trying to learn how to love
Right.
from a place where you've never been. I always say you can only love people as much as they love themselves.
Right.
You'll never love them enough. You'll never love them enough if they struggle loving themselves. And so my people pleasing and perfectionism came from wanting to make sure that she was good, you
Wow.
know, because
Mm-hmm.
my I could probably count on one hand how many spankings got. I didn't get a lot of spankings, but my mom was cold blooded with that tongue.
And
So a
see,
lot of
that's
times I wish I
the
got a spanking.
yeah, that's the emotional that
Yeah,
people don't really want to talk about. That could take a toll. Ooh.
right, right, because we think that's normal. We
Mm-hmm.
think that's normal, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you, it so I made it a goal
Mm-hmm.
raising my boys. Okay, I have three, all 11 years apart, and I've only been married 20 years, so we'll talk about that. There was a life prior to Marquita Jacks,
Mm-hmm.
but my goal was to not just focus on what I didn't want to be, but focus
Mm-hmm.
on what I wanted to be.
Right.
Forgive what I didn't want to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And love her from where she was, and even go back and love my grandmother from where she was, and the history and all of that, and understand that it needed to happen for me to be able to sit with Torie
Right.
and have this conversation that needs to happen.
That's crazy.
Um, yeah, and so I am not. I was the first one to graduate college in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we didn't really I didn't hear a language that spoke college yet. You graduate high school, get a job, go to work,
That
do
was
what you need to
me.
do, help
That
take
was
care of the
us.
family.
That
Yeah,
was
help
it.
take care of the family. Do what you got to do. I had my oldest at 21.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we always say 21 is a legal age for an adult, but really, it's still young.
Yep.
It's still young. And I never got that chance to be a kid and do dumb stuff and make dumb choices. So by the grace of God, he is okay today. But what he saw, what he was exposed to, um, I uh, I'm just glad that he's good. I'm glad that he's
Good.
good, and
Good.
that
And
he is
eventually he'll
functioning.
be able to understand
Yeah,
this
yeah,
because he
yeah,
doesn't know yet. He thinks
yeah,
it's a normalcy for him
yeah,
too.
yeah. He really, really does. But
Mhm.
he is so um, he listens.
Mhm.
He
Good.
listens, and he's very observative, and so where and forgiving for that matter. Because
Good.
I did, he went to college with me, girl, and
I
so
know.
and you know college life.
Uh-huh.
So, but he did have a lot of male mentors in college, the fraternities and stuff like that. But I definitely, with the 11 years between them, I am so thankful for the growth and for the change and for not necessarily saying I don't want to be like that, but this is what I want to be like. So,
Right.
um, yeah, I went through a whole lot of back and back. Childhood was difficult.
Yeah.
Childhood was very difficult.
But it shaped,
Tall. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It shaped you.
Yeah,
It
it
took,
did.
it
It
did.
absolutely did. It absolutely did. And so, tall and awkward, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more developed than my friends.
Mm-hmm.
This much hair when it wasn't cool to have this much hair. Uh, and because I was, oh man, I had boobs when my friends didn't have boobs, that kind of stuff. I was, boys tried to, and so I fought. I
Mm-hmm.
fought a lot, and never hard. I don't recall ever. I fought one girl. Everybody else was boys because when you have been molested or sexually assaulted,
Mm-hmm.
every gesture from a male is an attack.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't even. I think a guy accidentally hit me with his umbrella, and I tried to beat the life out of him.
Right.
But he hit me in my butt. And
Uh-huh.
when I turned around, he said slick stuff. So I was like, oh, it's another one. I gotta, because I'm
Right.
defending that little girl. I'm
Mm-hmm.
defending that little girl. As an adult, I have went back to where that little girl first started hearing these voices and
Good.
first started feeling unaccepted and first started feeling rejected. and I've given her permission. I've
And
given
see,
her permission.
that's the key.
Mhm.
You understand that. And do you know that there's people that don't?
Right. Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
the reason why your book,
Mhm.
that's the reason why your life, that's the reason why everything that's going on right now makes sense because you
Mhm.
understand it. Just
Mhm.
imagine how many people could take that time out their busy schedule just to understand that the childhood things that they went through weren't their fault at all,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
and that they can actually embrace that change and become cycle breakers like us.
Yeah.
So it won't happen for. I like how you said you have the separation of the boys. However,
Mhm.
what you
Mhm.
learned from son one, you made sure son number two didn't get that based off of
Mhm.
life,
Right.
practices,
Right.
experiences. Yeah,
Right.
this is
Right.
it. This is
Right.
it. And people
Mhm.
have to understand that because again, they see you, they see
Mhm.
me, but they don't know the things that shape us, the things that
Right.
make who we are.
Right. Right. And it is who we are.
Mhm,
I'm always big on telling people to that we need to graduate from what you've been through.
mhm,
You need to graduate from there and not ignore it and not pack it away or compartmentalize it because it was very important to who you are today.
mhm.
But just acknowledging that it happened,
Right.
acknowledging that you went through it, and not to hurt anybody's feelings or put anybody on blast or anything like that. Some of the things that I post some kind of devotional or something all the time as I'm led to do it. And I know a few years ago I posted something about wishing I would have grown up with my dad. Somebody asked me because it came up in a memory, and
Mhm,
someone was like, "Well, don't you want to take that?" No, I don't want to take that down. I don't want to take that down. My father knows very well that I love him today, and I always have, really, not even knowing who he was. I
mhm.
always loved him. However, I'm not taking that down because it's part of my history.
So I will say this, you talked about a lot of important things. So you talked about breaking generational
Curses.
you
Mhm.
talked about breaking generational curses. You talked about
Mhm.
sexual abuse. You talked
Mhm.
about childhood trauma. You're
Mhm.
talking about ACEs. You talked about growing up with your mom, single mom. You talked about your grandmother. So I just want people to understand and know all of these childhood traumas or childhood issues are ACEs.
Yeah.
And it has a name. And because it's such a normalcy in our community, we have to understand that it's really not okay.
It's really not okay. It's really not okay. It's like I said, the black community, what goes home in my house stays in my house. You better not tell nobody. Part of our mama would always say, you don't have to look like what you've been through. We struggled, you
Mhm,
know, but it was made up real good.
mhm,
It was made up real good, but we struggled so many different ways,
right,
but it was made up real good. So that you had to, if you knew, it was because you lived there.
mhm.
But outside of that house, you didn't know.
Not
You
at
didn't
all,
know, and
not
you didn't share it, and you kept it to yourself. You didn't even share it with relatives because the abuse that my mom went through, she didn't share it with her siblings.
mhm,
She didn't share, and we went through it for years. Okay,
yeah, mhm,
for years,
mhm,
and she didn't share it with her siblings so much that you grow, you saw things, and just wish somebody else knew.
right,
Because you're a kid and you don't know what to do with it. This
right,
guy was an alcoholic and he was crazy. And so I did see him, hey, hit my mama and my brother.
mhm,
Crazy part is I don't remember if he ever hit me. I don't even remember having conversations with him.
wow,
That's the thing. I don't, and I know I did. I'm sure I did because he was with us for years.
right,
I don't know if he did anything to me at all.
mhm,
But I do remember what he did with my mom, and I do remember what he did with my brother. And I remember how lonely that felt because that was one time in our lives growing up as a close-knit family.
mhm,
We weren't around them.
right,
Our own dysfunction as a family was one we could still get together and laugh and eat and have fun. But at that time, that was you know, so we just didn't go around them. to keep that in the house where it needed to be to stay a secret, you know.
Right.
Um, but my mom, I've seen her. She's such a strong woman. You know, she's such a strong woman, and she has worked hard to protect us from what's inevitable.
Mhm.
You know, you're a single mom, you got to leave the house and you
Mhm.
have to leave your oldest daughter at home, you
Right.
know. So, as much as she wanted to protect me or even tried to protect me from the same things that she's been through, mind you,
Mhm.
because she was sexually abused,
So
she was
I'm going to
abused as
ask you
well.
a good question.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide that this was going to stop with you?
Ooh, wee. Um, therapy,
Okay.
and not even necessarily officially therapy. Like I said, when I'm gonna tell you, when I went to college, Torie, I didn't go for 6 years after high school. Okay,
Right. Right.
so but when I finally left, I don't know if I went to college to go to school or run.
I
Okay,
ran.
yeah. At the time, I couldn't say that to my family that I'm going to college. I get away from y'all.
Right.
I really wanted to know what was wrong with them, or what was wrong with me, you
Mhm.
know. And so initially, when I first got to UCM, I took a lot of sociology, psychology classes, and you meet a whole lot of the professors and stuff like that. I think we had what Dr. Kemp down there then. There was a
Yeah.
psychology, yeah. And
Yeah.
so I got to talk to him quite a bit, and I got to talk to some other older people in sociology and psychology to kind of really helped me to see the normal,
It was
abnormal.
Mr. Kreiner
The
for me.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay.
Mr. that was our commonality.
Mhm.
Undergrad was psychology, and
Yeah.
it was Mr. Kreiner for me because I was already doing research, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to do the counseling perspective. I was into the numbers, and he was like, "You should
Mhm.
do this study. You should do this. You
Mhm.
should do this."
Mhm. Mhm.
And at the time, I didn't realize that getting a psychology degree, you would have to go back. You need to go back. I just was trying to.
Mm.
I left, and
Yes,
so it was
ma'am.
like choose a major. Okay, nursing. No, mm-mm. Well, let me find out what it is that I love. And because I
Yeah.
was already doing research about my family who could never give me questions or answer any of the questions
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
had,
Mhm.
I pursued that psychology aspect of it for the research
Mhm.
perspective. And
Mhm.
it was Mr. Kreiner. So shout out to Mr. Kreiner
Yeah.
at University of Central Missouri, because
Mhm.
that's where I got it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
Mr.
that
Kemp.
yeah, and Mr. Kemp, Dr. Kemp,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Such a College was such an eye opener for me.
Hmm.
And it is where I started to grow out. I did some dumb stuff in college. But my position in you all's lives
Hmm.
really actually was very healing for me,
Oh,
because you have to know, before I came to college, I was still dealing with that little girl that
right.
just was rejected and did not, and was bullied and taunted, very painfully shy,
Mhm.
and didn't have a voice, because she would rather be she didn't want to be seen or heard, really. But I knew I had something. I was hollering, but I didn't want nobody to hear me, and I didn't want nobody to see me. So by the time I got to college, the way that you guys looked at me, I'm like, gosh, I don't know what's wrong with them. But you don't know the story. You don't
Right.
know the story. And when you don't know the story, and even when you do know the story, like you and I are talking now, we can appreciate it. We
Yep.
can appreciate the story, where I know in college I couldn't even put it into words. I couldn't
Right.
put it into words because, like I said, I was running, and then when I did decide to pull something in, it was so I could fix them. Now I
Right.
didn't know it was going to fix me. I
Right.
did not know it was going to fix me, or it was going to help me to understand what I've been through, and that it was okay to talk to this person. You guys considerably younger than me, but still, make it a safe place for people to talk.
Right.
So I didn't know I was a therapist. I didn't know any of that. I just wanted to find out what was wrong with my family. So
And you found us
yeah, yeah,
and have
yeah.
made an extreme impact on us.
Mhm.
It's a bunch of us out there when she comes into the room, it just lightens up, I promise. But she's very authentic and she's very genuine. And everything that she's saying, you all are learning right now, and so am I.
Mhm.
Because we don't see the inside. We always look
Yeah.
at the outer layer of people and don't know that they actually have to unveil things and things of that nature. And it
Mhm.
makes us who we are. So
Right,
I
right.
thank you. And the crazy thing is, this is us. This is the things and
Mhm.
the conversations we need to sit down and start having,
Mhm. Mhm.
not just as sisters, not just as sorors, as
Mhm.
women, as
Yeah,
women in our
yeah.
community, because our community really think this is normal. Like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
it's not okay to
Mhm.
be sexually abused, you guys. It's
It's
not.
not. It's not.
And it is not okay for uncle to touch on you and you don't say anything to your parents, and for your parents to say something and not
Mhm.
really do anything about it. This is
Mhm.
what's happening. And that's the reason why when we get older, it affects our relationships, it affects our health, but we don't
Mhm.
know that because we don't even get to this part of it because
Mhm.
we don't understand ACEs. And
Right.
thank you for that. So I'm going to ask you a quick question about the
Mhm.
ACEs study and the questionnaire. At
Mhm.
your facility, what is the intake that you use? Do you use like a assessment? Do you use the
Mhm.
ACEs quiz? What do you
Mhm.
use?
We use an assessment. We like I said, we have a women's transitional home, but I'm
Right,
telling you, I'm going to introduce ACEs. I'm definitely going to introduce ACEs, and I say that because, like I said, I'm what we call just childhood trauma really
right.
needs to be more definitive. It really
Thank
needs to be more
you.
definitive.
Oh, you said what
It
and I
really
promise you I didn't put her up to this.
does.
I put these posts up. I'm like, childhood trauma is ACEs.
It
Like,
definitely is.
it's on the CDC's website, you guys.
Mhm,
It's not
mhm,
me. I just
mhm,
took the information off of the website and made it happen.
mhm.
Oh God, oh, this is why I
Yeah.
love you so much because it needs to be.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
don't understand that either. So
yeah.
say it again so they can hear you.
It needs to be definitive. It needs to be broken down and really, I'm not a person part of where I think some processes fail is we wanna start in the middle. We wanna address what we see. And for a lot of women, black and white, is we got to go all the way back. What
Mhm,
my job is at my job is we have a therapist, right?
mhm.
Well, one of my jobs at my job, we have
Right,
therapists, and my job is to mm, be the therapist for the therapist.
right,
Right. And so I have a lot of therapists that have not dealt with it as well. Like you said, we went to college and we had to unpack so that we could get it. Well, they've been, but they're not taught to unpack
right.
and meet themselves there. They're just taught theory and things like that. So when they come to me, I want you to be straight between your ears before you sit with somebody or while you're sitting with somebody trying to help them out for what's going on between their ears.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm definitely going to introduce
Introduce
ACEs.
that study. You can have it. I will send it to you because it's not really mine. I got
Okay.
permission from the CDC. I did
Okay.
it with my school. I completed my study. I completed my dissertation. And
Mhm.
now what I'm doing is my own statistics. I'm doing my own study
Good.
because
Good.
when I did it and it was all the things that I wanted to see on there, like
Mhm.
community
Mhm.
violence,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
bullying,
Mhm.
officially
Yeah.
on there
Yeah.
after 25 years.
Yeah.
I have to shout it out because it came out spring 98 and I
Yeah.
came out of school spring 98. But
Right.
nonetheless,
Right, right.
25 years.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
saw that they updated it, I was like, did they take my study or did they actually understand? I
Mhm.
think that mental health is really at an all-time high right
Oh my
now.
gosh.
And,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so they can put responsibility on the fact that we really need to get help. That's why the stuff was updated.
Mhm.
We just saw the other day on the news a mass shooting. Do you know how
Mhm.
many times mass shootings actually happen during the week? This is
Mhm.
traumatic, you guys. This is a
Mhm.
problem for us. But yet, the CD said, I'm just gonna put it on this website. Y'all can look it up if
Mhm,
y'all want to. If y'all don't, oh well, we're letting you know. Just like they let you know about COVID, just
mhm,
let you know about monkeypox or whatever it is, they're
mhm,
letting you know about ACEs. So
mhm,
that is the thing for me. And
mhm,
I encourage you to because it's an introduction, it's a tool. So if they come
mhm,
to you and you are that person to say, hey, make sure you
mhm.
get it, yeah, that assessment, that ACEs assessment will be good.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I'll tell
And
you because I'm a full circle type person and
mhm,
cause and effect.
mhm,
We deal with a lot of addiction in the recovery community as well,
mhm,
and the unhoused and things like that. And so, like we said, like you're saying, most of, I would honestly be willing to bet a dozen donuts that 99% of folks that we see uh, come from ACEs, come from
yes.
a place of ACEs because we're just starting. Well, we're just starting to marry addictions recovery and mental emotion and mental health, so
Mhm,
that we're dual diagnosing people,
right.
which is great. I mean, I've been since I graduated college, probably one way or another. I've been involved with addictions recovery, one way or the other,
Mhm,
and so there has, without acknowledging the why, this is just the addiction and the mass shootings, even for that matter. All
mhm,
of those things are just the symptom.
right.
They're just the symptom to what the root problem is. I have a and really I had a debate with somebody about this because someone asked me if everything is forgivable, and I absolutely believe that. I
Okay.
believe it is because I believe in the law of cause and effect. A lot of
Mhm,
those kids that are doing the mass shootings, there's some
mm,
trauma.
mhm,
There's some trauma there that was never addressed.
yep.
Now, is it their fault? Absolutely not. But they never got there. No one ever told them about ACEs. No one ever told them that they were forgiven and they're loved and they accepted and that you are worthy. You
Mhm.
know these things. This is not a language for them. So
But
they
guess
only had to
what?
go off of their experience, and their experience what might have been bad. Having been somebody that been bullied, I remember thinking in my head, I want to shoot up a whole bunch of people.
Exactly. I want to come at them. But guess
Yes.
what you have done? You've
Mhm.
created this amazing manual that can help
Yeah.
so many people.
Mhm.
So I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay.
Can you show us what the book looks like? So when people start to look for it and know, then they
Mhm.
can use that as a reference because again, I started, I'm not gonna lie, I cheated a little bit. I still want to
Mhm.
finish it, but I want my signature. No, I'm playing. No, I'm dead
You
serious.
got it. You got it.
Tell us, let's go back and delve back into the book again.
Okay.
Tell us about Flaw.
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna show you the book. Is that what you want me to show you the book?
Mhm, mhm,
And it is definitely the ministry hiding in the mess. It is my story. It is my journey to redemption, to deliverance, to understanding who I am in Christ, and really wanting to live and knowing. Here's the thing: most people that are believers understand forgiveness because
mhm.
hey, God forgives, God loves, God accepts, God. But it is something. It's one thing to know. It's a whole nother thing to experience it.
Right.
What the goal of perfectly flawed is that you experience it. Just like I know that aces going to become a language. It's going to be what people say when they consider talking to anybody. We need to go back and we need to use this tool so we can figure out what age it was when you heard that, so we can talk to that little girl or that little boy.
Mhm.
Flawed is the same, almost the same thing. That's why I told you it connects so well
Right.
because you, from a place of, like I said, living in my flaws, my own flaws, my negative flaws, feeling,
Mhm,
living unforgiven, feeling unloved and unworthy and unaccepted and not liking who I saw in the mirror.
mhm.
Um, this book and my journals and all of that it's my story.
Yep.
It's me. It's a crushing.
Mhm.
It's a crushing. It takes what we've been through for us to be where we are today. So
Right.
we needed to be, diamonds start as a lump of coal. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? That pretty thing got to be crushed out of there.
Yep.
And you think of all of the most beautiful things that God has ever created undergo a process.
Mhm.
We survived the process.
We
The
did.
diamonds that make it to the shelves and get planted in rings, they survived the process, you
You're right.
know, and so they get to be on display.
Mhm.
So you get to do what you're doing, and I get to do what I'm doing. And it's not a chore. It's not a chore, and it's not a burden, but
Mhm.
it's a way for one for us to. I'm still in my ing, Torie. Okay, I tell
Right.
people stay in your ing. Don't put something. Show yourself some grace because those triggers.
Yep.
Ooh, child. I can think I'm past something,
Mhm.
and even my own mom might say something like, "Okay, her, I'm grown now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell her go sit down." You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Or anybody for that matter. I know my husband and I, oh my gosh, I thank God for this guy. Um, we had to get to a place, and I had to as well. And that's part of where Perfectly Flawed came from as well, is understanding I needed to unpack and I
Right.
needed to see things differently so that I can be a functional adult
Mhm.
and be loved,
Mhm.
be loved. You know what I mean? Allow
I'm telling
myself
you,
to be
you're
loved
going to
because
open up so many eyes
mhm,
because of you just being perfectly flawed.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many barriers
Mhm.
to it, and I just allowing yourself to be transparent and peel back,
Yeah.
and just peel back. I mean, where he would stand up. I have and it's from being abused. He
Mhm.
wasn't there. He didn't
Mhm.
have anything to do with that. Matter of
Right.
fact, a whole lot of folks I've met in my life as an adult had nothing to do with what they trigger, and I
Right.
have to remember that. And what hurts personally is sometimes it's not personal,
Right.
but it hurts personally. It's just folks being folks. People do the best that they can, and that's what helps me to keep folks where they need to be and forgive them and love them right from where they are. We used to, if we had some, I always call it some words with volume.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have triggers when you stand over me and yell. I have triggers, and so my response to him was not to him; it
Right.
was to history.
Right.
So I had to go. I mean, I'm staying in my ing where I would be feeling like, oh, I'm a terrible wife. Oh my gosh, I give myself some grace.
Mhm.
I give myself some grace because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still being delivered from things, and God is showing me little bits and pieces of who I am that is safe for me because He know how
Mhm.
He wired me, you
Right.
know. And so I'm staying in my ing. The perfectly flawed is not the finished product. It's not the finished
I
product.
know it.
It's praying that it becomes a language as well. Just understand the experience of being flawed the right way and understanding that everything you went through. Lord have mercy, Tori.
I know
If we didn't go through what we went through, we couldn't help anybody. One, we
exactly.
wouldn't be relatable. We just be book experts.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I felt
Here
what you
we are.
felt. I've been where you've been. I understand it, and now I'm choosing to share it
Yes.
so that you can know that you don't have to stay there and you can be delivered from it and you can walk a different way. Not erasing it because it doesn't go away. It
Right.
doesn't go away, but just
From me,
acknowledge it.
and I'll be honest, what I felt when I saw it,
Mhm.
and when we talked about it, is that I am not alone.
You're not alone. Yeah, yeah.
And to have that, we have our commonalities. We
Mhm.
talked about it already, y'all. Yep,
Mhm.
that big sister.
Mhm.
But to know that you always supported me,
Mhm.
this is a different type of support to
Yeah.
know that you're not alone in your journey. We have a
Right.
journey to heal. The
Yeah.
book for you, the journals for you, everything for you is your healing process.
Mhm.
So I'm
Mhm.
going to ask you one more question, and then we got to go ahead and end this because we can go all day.
Okay.
What do you do to heal besides write? What else do you do?
Ooh wee. Um, I pour.
Hmm.
I pour.
I agree.
And really that is the most Satisfying. Let me tell you, that's something I could lose track of time doing.
Hmm.
If I can see that my being transparent and vulnerable is helping you, then
I
I
agree.
will sit with you and I will sit with a group and I will do a workshop and I will do a conference and I will, whatever I need to do, that helps with my healing.
I believe
That
that.
helps with my healing. Other than, hey, I'm a firm believer in the fervent, effectual prayers of the righteous availeth much.
Hmm.
And I know since I know I'm forgiven, he listens to me.
Mm,
He listens to me, and I'm not cocky, but I am confident that I'm forgiven. It took some years to get there,
right.
you know. So I pray, I listen to music, and I stay in the moment.
Very
I'm
good.
very, very intentional about staying in the moment. Um, Yesterday I can't do nothing about, and tomorrow might not come.
Hmm.
So I'm really intentional about staying in the moment. I'm one of those folks. I wake up and really, Tori, I was sharing this with one of my coworkers the other day. I actually look for miracles. I look for reasons to have joy. If it's a blade of grass growing out of concrete, now how much sense does that make?
A lot.
There's no soil there, but if I'm in the midst of my day and I start triggering and having, struggles, because I can talk to somebody and hear their story and be like, oh, but I think about a blade of grass growing out of concrete. Okay, you're still there. You still hear me. That's my miracle. You gave me that today. I'm good. But I'm very intentional about staying here, not fake. Because when
Mm,
I hurt, I hurt.
yep.
When I hurt, and I say it. That was the biggest thing for me, was being able to be transparent, because I had to mask. I had to mask for so long
Yep.
that honestly, I did not know who I was. I
Mm,
did not know who I was, because who I wanted to be was squashed down
right.
to who I needed to be. And that's where I recognize, for most people, you don't get to be who you are until you unpack where you been.
Ooh.
You know, most of the time we are living for who other people have told us we are.
Mm,
We live for who mom and them have said, and they
mm,
only know this much. They don't know as much as God knows. They only know this much. So you only expected to live this much, and then you're stuck there. So I've always wanted to be somebody that sung out loud. I
mm,
always wanted to be somebody that laughed out loud and danced and acted stupid and didn't mind being embarrassed. But I
mm,
couldn't. I couldn't. And I didn't. So I had to learn. I'm unmasking. I had to learn to unmask. And so the more opportunities I have to be transparent and vulnerable, and not worry about, and just that it's pleasing our audience of one, but it's doing gonna fall on the ears that he wants it to,
mm,
that's healing for me. That's healing for me. That is healing for me, because for years, honey, I did not want to be noticed. I didn't want to be noticed. I'm writing and I keep thinking it's a children's book. It is, because it's for the bully, and it's for
mm.
the person, and it's for the person being bullied, and it's for the one that's brave enough to stand up for the bully. Because I
Right.
had one young lady in my life, and she was cute as she wanted to be, but she would defend me all the time. She was the one person that was not scared to be my friend
Mhm.
when I needed her to be my friend. And she's passed. She had breast cancer and she passed away. But I dedicated this book. I haven't released it or anything yet, but I dedicated to her, because I had to. Um, I, it just acknowledges that your part, if you see people being bullied, is just as important. It
Mhm.
really is,
It
you
is.
know. But she pulled it out of me. She heard me sing one day when she walked past my window at my house. She said, "Was that you?" And
Mhm.
I no. She said, "Yes, it was," and so, but she was the first person that ever heard me sing out loud. I mean, just those kind of things, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't do
Mm.
that. I didn't have time.
It
I
comes
didn't have
naturally
time.
down.
Yeah.
It comes naturally.
Yeah.
You exude so much. And
Mhm.
so now what I'm excited about is that everybody else gets to see it too. You all,
Mhm.
this is the big for me. This is that you all know her as Marquita Jacks. I know her as Big Sister Mommy Dearest. And you
Mhm.
guys see it right here. Just give her your time. She's going to give you so much energy. She's going to do these things. But I heard you. I heard you say you know yourself now. You
Mhm.
understand yourself. You went through all of this trauma for a reason, for your
Mhm.
light to continue to shine.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And
Just
I
like you.
thank God for you. Oh, no, I thank you because people have to understand it's okay, you
Mhm.
guys.
Mhm.
Once you understand and know, then you can continue to grow.
Absolutely.
That's a
Write that
wow.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah, write that down.
because honestly, that's our truth.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so with that being said, I'm going to I'm going to let people know that it's okay, especially when it's people that you look up to,
Mhm.
especially when it's people that you know. Ask anybody,
Mhm.
talk to people, get to know, because the more and more people you can interact and engage with, you never know.
Mhm.
Look at what happened when I said, "All right, big sister, tell your story." Look at
Mhm.
what just happened.
Mhm.
Because again, we're not used to that
Yeah.
because it's so accepted. We're
Yeah.
not used to it. And look exactly what happened. So
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you this because, of course, we have to end. Let people know where they can find you. I know where to find you, but where can social media, where can people find you? Give us all of your social media information.
Okay. So right now, look, like I am a little older, so I'm social media challenged. You can definitely find me on Facebook. The book is available on Amazon.
Mhm.
I have got a young lady that is working with me to get my social media stuff going. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook and TikTok, but I don't know what I'm doing
You're
yet.
you're on YouTube too. She's very, very,
Oh,
she's definitely on my page. She's very supportive of me.
oh
So I'll
yeah,
help you
definitely.
with YouTube if I have to for sure, because you're going to need
Yeah.
a YouTube page.
Ooh, praise God. We calling it. We calling it. My goal, someone was asking me. I had a person that I was talking to about business real quickly. He was asking me about how much money I want to make, and I'm saying I'm more interested in saving lives. I'm
Hmm.
more interested in saving lives. Really, Tori, I don't have to make a dime.
Hmm.
I don't have to make a dime
Hmm.
because the stuff that I'm forgiven for, I owe God my life.
Wow.
I owe him my life. And if I can keep people from going through what I went through, or at least living in it, let me not say keep them from going through. They have to, that's their journey. But
Hmm.
living in it,
Right.
I'm good. I'm good because that's what I was born for. That's my
And you
purpose.
heard her. You heard it out of her mouth. I can't wait. The thing is, you guys, I have to keep this a secret. So I can't share this with anyone. When this premiere comes, I am not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to place it out there and the impact that it's just going to have on so many. And honestly, I can't be selfish and say the impact that it's going to have on so many because the impact that it has on me right now for taking time out of your schedule for doing this without me not even asking lets me know that we're in sync and we're
Yeah,
aligned, and we have to continue to join forces to do what we need to do to get this
absolutely.
word out because it's going to help so many people.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yes, you guys are working on her social media. I'm helping her too. Let's be clear. But you know you can find me anywhere, you guys. I'm everywhere. Either be victorious or Dr. Victorious. Headed on social media, LinkedIn, TikTok. I got a TikTok too. Got a couple of things out there that I can help share with you guys. But for anybody else, just know that ACEs is real. We're out here and there are people out here to help. So we thank you guys for another episode of Be Victorious. You will see us both sooner or later. Take care of you guys. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye.